Taillon, did they miss an opportunity to trade him? He certainly hasn't been
as effective.
He's been good, but he hasn't been as effective lately. That said, I don't have a problem with them bringing him back and having him be a piece of the rotation next year because I think he's an innings eater. I think he's pretty reliable. He's maybe not your number 2 starter, but if you can develop a guy like Horton and some other, and bring in Corbin Burns next year, okay, sure.
Yeah. See, like the issue with Taillon that honestly pains me more is it's not even Taillon. It's the fact that Horton got hurt and Ben Brown's hurt.
Yes.
And thankfully Jordan Wicks will be back. But like
this one more rehab start, is that what you said?
What'd you say?
One more rehab start for Wicks?
Yep. Yeah, he has one more rehab start, according to Ryan Herrera. He can confirm when he shows up. But if Horton, or even if Ben Brown just wasn't hurt, and say they left him in the rotation, who knows how they do it. But for what we know, for what we've seen, they've used him as a reliever and they've used him as a starter this year. And he showed to be pretty solid as a starter for the Cubs, right? So even if it's just Brown, like Brown has been more effective than Taillon. I feel like he'd be right in there. We expected to see Horton at some point in June or July this year, and he got hurt. And again, I don't know what any of those guys were going to do, but I definitely think they have higher upside than Jameson Taillon. We know what Jameson Taillon is. Jameson Taillon is an innings eater. He is a guy that can find a way to go out there, and even if it doesn't look pretty, he'll give you innings. And teams need that. Teams need guys who can go out there and just eat innings for you. And no one wants to hear it. However, you gave up a 4-run or two 2-run homers, and then he still gave you 5 innings. All right. And if the Cubs offense would have showed up tonight, no one would be talking about Jameson Taillon giving up 4 runs in 5 innings. It's not like he went out there and gave up 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, sure, he's had some bad starts, but hell, Shota has had bad starts.
Everybody has bad starts.
I think the point is that we all know that he can't be a top 3 guy in your rotation if you're trying to win. We all know that. And entering the year, I thought entering the year he was going to be a guy in the top 3 of the rotation for half the season. And then we would hopefully see Horton, Brown, or Wicks take gradual steps throughout the year to become that 3rd guy. I think I had more optimism about Wicks at least being that, because we had seen him last year. And even before he got hurt in the early part of the season, you felt like the stuff was there. You just needed him to go deeper in the games. So I just feel like if all things were to go right for Wicks in terms of just gradual development, that he would get better as the season went along, kind of like PCA, right? So I think at this point you're seeing what Jameson Taillon basically is, and he just is. He's not an ace or anything like that. He's a back end of his career. I guess you can certainly make the argument that they should have traded him, but at the same time, it's like, who the hell are they going to throw? They have so many guys hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's why you shouldn't trade him, but at the same time, I do think that there's value in a guy who can eat some innings. And you need that. And I think going into next year, if he's your number 4 or number 5 starter in your rotation, that's pretty good. And this is why that I've talked about Corbin Burns while you're sitting over here trying to rile the chat up about Juan Soto.
We want Soto.
Okay. Listen, I still want Juan Soto too, but I think Corbin Burns at least has a little bit more realistic possibility to it. But the Cubs pitching, that the guys who've been injured this year, it's really hurt them, despite the fact that Cubs pitching has actually been like the only thing to be excited about with this organization all season. I really truly believe that the team might have a handful more wins if Brown isn't as hurt as he's been, if Horton doesn't get hurt and comes up and provides some sort of, extreme spark, and if Wicks even just does exactly what we expected, which was to just be a middle of the rotation arm, those 3 guys getting hurt was massive. And I hate to put that kind of like pressure on 3 rookies, but that's just what the Cubs signed up for. So, I mean, this is more of a detriment to Jed Hoyer again. If you want to shape it that way, I understand you're high on those guys. 2 of those 3 guys were first round picks, and there was a lot of hype around Horton for sure as a top 30 prospect in baseball. So like, I get it. I just, injuries happen. And so that when I talk about injuries and how they've hurt the team, I'm thinking about those guys a lot in that conversation. But yeah, I think Taillon, I lean with you, but I also understand why fans are like, well, you should have moved him. But I also think the Cubs farm system is fine. I know they fell back in the rankings a little bit, but if they keep drafting the way that they have been, like, I'm not going to be worried as long as they don't fall back towards the bottom 5 again. Like, you understand what I'm saying here? Like, I could care less about prospect rankings as long as you keep developing and you stay in that top 15 systems, top 10, top 15, somewhere in that range. And they're like, 11, 12, whatever. Like, I think Pipeline put them at 8. Like, it's whatever. You're a solid system. So it's not like you had to get some prospect capital. It's not like you needed it, like, I don't know. I understand both sides of the argument though.
That's it. Taillon is, everybody wants to live in the hot take times, one way or the other. Taillon's right down the middle. If they held on to him, fine. I don't know what the deal was that they were going to get for him, right? Like that's where you can have a take on one way or another. What I'm asking for is HBO to do
Hard Knocks
off-season Chicago Cubs. That's what I want to know. I want a camera on Jed Hoyer's shoulder through the holidays, leading up to the winter meetings. I want to know who's calling, what they're offering. Then I can give you a real take on whether or not Taillon should have been traded. Right now, it just sits on the fence. I could see both sides. But the deal wasn't good. Why wouldn't you hang on to him and have that pitching depth? Because that's super valuable moving into next season. He's not outrageously expensive. On the other side, what are you doing? If he's going to be up and down, is he really a part of your future? So
yeah,
I'm at the moment, I can't give you an answer whether I'm mad or not. But people love to, after every game, the opinions change to see on what people think about the whole thing.
We all silly like the mayor.